Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Workshop. Many of you probably know that I have two YouTube channels, Joe Daddy's Workshop and Joe Daddy's Garage, which is what you see behind me. As I work on cars primarily and do restoration work on old Mustangs and stuff like that, I also tend to use a lot of different tools. So recently I had a problem with one of my tools that I've had for quite some time. It is a Bosch 4.5-inch angle grinder. And I've used this thing in many videos, and it has never let me down until just recently. And I want to show you some differences between this and another grinder that I had, which was a Makita, and also the new grinder that I bought, because I need to continue working on this, and some of the problems you run into can hold you up. So let me show you my new grinder and also the comparison between these three. So as I said, I have been using this Bosch 4.5-inch 90 grinder, 90-degree angle, or angle grinder, however you want to say it, for several years. This one happens to be 120 volt, 60 hertz, 6 amps, and again 4.5 inch. What has happened is the switch has worn out, and if I plug this in, then you can see that it may work or it may not. So I looked it up and I went online, and I think this switch is like 30 bucks. So what I was using prior to that was this Makita. Now this was a good grinder, and it held up very well. It has a different type of switch, a little more durable sounding. This one is 115 volts, 4 amps, 10,000 RPM. So if I hook this one up, plug it in, I think this one still works, honestly. I just haven't used it. Yeah. Now, the reason that I quit using that is the discs. It's hard to find, or at least I think it's been hard to find, the 4-inch disc. Everything has moved up to 4.5-inch. So this one has remained in my toolbox, and odds are I won't be using it in the future unless I find a supply of 4-inch discs. Now I do want to show you a little tip. This is the tool for removing the disc on the 4-inch or 4.5-inch Bosch. And you can push this button in back here, rotate it around to where you lock it, and then use torque to separate that, okay? What I always do with my tools like this, which are pretty plain and less obvious to see, one, you could paint these like a bright color, yellow or orange or something. But two, I put a zip tie or a zip tie on them, and I hang them on a dedicated bolt or any kind of hook that I have, so that I know when I'm done, I hang it back up at that same location and I have it. So let's open up this new Bauer that I bought. This is a 4.5-inch angle grinder, 8 amps, 11,500 RPM. I initially went to Harbor Freight to buy the lesser version of this. What I mean by that is it has a lower amperage rating, a lower RPM, and it has a different type of trigger. So once I started looking at it, I realized this one was on sale for $42, I think. I went ahead and bought it. And let's pull this out and see what's inside the box. This should be everything. So it comes with a handle very similar to the Bosch. I don't know that there's any difference in this one. Like, it looks like it may take some vibration out. It has a little rubber damper possibly in there, whereas this one is solid. So that's one difference. Get rid of those. And what I was looking at on this one has the slide switch, as I showed earlier. They had the basic model Bauer had that kind of slide switch. Then they had another one that had a trigger switch down here at the bottom where you could pull it and lock it on and let go of it. It's just a different type of switch, kind of like let's say like a drill. And then this one actually has a safety switch, but also you can do this and lock it in place. So it kind of forces you to use two hands in a sense. You could probably do it with one if you can reach around and lock that in, but it's easier to do it with two hands. But now that leaves it on, and if you just touch it, it releases it So that's a nice little feature on there. Again, it also has the lock on the top here, which will lock in the head, and you can take off your retaining hardware so we can put the discs on later. Let's see here. There's also this guard. Now this is kind of convenient, I guess. This one has a screw that you tighten up to adjust. I generally don't make it super tight. If I can get a hold of it and rotate it with my hand to move it where I need it, then I will. And this one, this has this cam over lever. So pretty simple. It should, if I release the cam, it should slide on. Get it to line up with there's probably a groove or something there. Well, see, I see it's got this dimple right there, and that's got to go into that groove. Oh, look, okay, I'm messing up. There's a spot down there at the bottom. Okay. Cam that over, that locks it in place. Take that loose, you can rotate it. There we go. That makes more sense now. Okay, one other thing I did notice, this is the back half of the, let's say, lock nut mechanism. So they may have other options that you can put on different attachments. I don't know. All I know is this one can come off. So we're going to put that on there. Take a Warrior 4.5-inch disc, put that on. Ah, I see now. It's got two different setups. So it's got a little bit of a flange sticking out. So if you had a thicker, maybe something with a thicker base on it, it takes up that gap. And this has a relief on the inside. So a little variation there. What I mean by that is there's a space inside where that will overlap and make a tight fit. So that's interesting. I've never seen one with a variation like that. So take that, make sure I thread it with the relief on. Take the wrench, lock this in. That's another nice thing. It has 4 holes for the spanner wrench versus 2 on this one. So that's kind of a little more convenient, let's say. And now, of course, you have your handle. This will thread on either side. Now, I do note this does not have a square face to it, so it kind of binds into that corner. And I kind of like that. Not that it binds like that, but I like the straight version versus the angled version. Honestly, I don't even use this one. I take it off every time because I get into tight spaces and I really just don't even have the need for it. If this were a different, smaller thread, it might fit in this one, but as of now, it's not going to. So, there we go. Let's get some power on it and see how it sounds. Got a pretty long cord too. That's longer. That's a lot longer than the Bosch. A lot longer. Wow. Okay. So that's the length there. I've got another, probably a good 3 feet of additional cord. So again, safety switch. Have to rotate that, lock it in, squeeze the trigger. That's actually nice and straight. I don't see any wobble to that at all. Not that there was really any wobble in this one, but of course this one doesn't work. So let me see if I have something to grind on. Those of you that have been following along on my regular YouTube channel probably know that this is part of that 69 Mach 1 that I'm rebuilding. And I need to take off some welds so I can remove this metal flange right here. So I always put on ear protection and safety glasses. Get some gloves. And let's see what we can do. Now I have to admit, I actually like that switch. That thumb switch is great, but I know from experience when the other ones that if I bumped it, let's say I was running it and I bumped it, it would cut off. This way I know that at least with my hand on this thing, that it's running and I have control of it. If I release it, that's fine, it stops. So I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm going to use this seam buster from Steck. If you like tools like this, I have them on my Amazon page. So, honestly, that made pretty short work of that task overall. Now I can take this. Granted, this is a cutoff wheel. This is meant to be cutting into something you want to separate, but I like to use it just for doing welds and stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm happy that I bought this. You know, I have another Bauer tool that I use for stripping paint. It's the what is it called? This tool is the surface conditioning tool. So I do use that one. That's about the only product that I have other than this that is Bauer, but I'm happy with both of these. So there you go. I recommend that 90-degree grinder. So I think that'll be it for this video. You know, I do not have any affiliation with Bauer or Harbor Freight, so this is completely unbiased from that standpoint. But I do like that grinder and I would recommend it. I do like that paddle trigger a lot better than the slide button on the side. So hey, if you're interested, go buy one at Harbor Freight. Otherwise, keep following me. Check my Amazon page. Maybe you want to find something on there that you want to buy. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See you. Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Workshop. As you know, I have many of you know, let's start over. Get it to line up with there's probably a groove or something there. Okay, that'll be it for this video. I like the way it works. It does a good job, so why not? There's other ones out there. You may want to try different models. No, let's try a different approach here.